Prime Day last week. Did any of you guys get any portable power stations? I did. Look at that. That is the Pecron E600LFP. And man, is this thing something else. This was on their website, and $299 for 614 lithium iron phosphate watt-hour battery with a 1200 watt inverter. It's a steal. It's like 48.6 a watt hour. So yeah, I couldn't pass that up. This thing is a little powerhouse. Been testing it, and we're going to show all that to you. So stay tuned. What do we get with the Pecron E600LFP? Again, this is a no frills power station. It just works. It's not Bluetooth, not Wi-Fi, it's not a UPS, but it's a 1200 watt inverter, 614 watt hour LiFePO battery, and it's a little beast, as you're going to see with some of the testing. But what I want to do is kind of go over what it comes with. This case is nice. It's one of the nicest cases. It's nicer than Jack Reese. It's kind of a hard case. You get cigarette lighter to 5521. You get MC4 to their aircraft type 5-pin connector. And one of the bad things is a power brick. You can charge by this. You can get 200 plus watts into it, and be nice, yeah, if it didn't have to have a power brick, but it does. And to be honest, I never use them anyway. I'm either charging by solar or transferring power from other sources, whether it be a battery bank that I have, AC 200P. So I'm power dumping, and I'm not using the power brick anyway. Haven't even used it yet, but I'm going to try to show that to you how it works in the video later on. But very nice case. It's a double zipper. You can meet in the middle, put them all to one side. It's got a nice little carrying case with some rubber on top of it. Very nice. Pecron is making waves. Let's take a look at what you got. You got two charging ports. You got a 5521, which is capable of 12 volts to 18 volts. That's where your cigarette lighter port would go, and you can also put a 100 watt solar panel in there. You put a 120 watt solar panel in there if you want to, as long as you don't go above, 18 volts, and it's really open circuit around 22 volts. You can get away with that, but it's not going to charge any more than 100 watts on that port. The bottom port is your aircraft connector. It is proprietary, but the nice thing is it goes to MC4, and you can use any solar panels with it. And it says 32 to 95 volts, 400 watt max. So you can get 400 watts of solar into this thing, and you're going to see it later on in the video that got very, very close to it with the solar that I have up on my roof. So we're going to show that to you. 3 AC ports, again capable of 1200 watts. Now it claims a 2400 watt surge, and as you'll see later in the video, I don't know if we're getting 2400 watt surge, maybe 2000, but still 1200 watt inverter, and you're getting right around 2000 watt surge. You got a nice screen that's very informative. To turn it on, you just press and hold, and it's going to show you a percentage of battery. It's going to give you a time. It's going to give you DC input watts. You turn the AC on, the fan comes on briefly and then goes off, and then you're going to get AC output watts. Now, the one thing that I've noticed on this is when you're charging from solar, wall, whatever, if you got DC plugged in, you don't get to see how many watts the DC ports are discharging, because you're getting your input from your solar or AC charger or whatever. So when when you're charging, DC watts are not available. AC watts will be, but DC watts will not be. The nice thing is too, is when you're on DC, if you hit it again, it's going to give you the battery voltage, which is at 27.5 volts. And AC is kind of interesting too. If you hit it, it's going to give you 120 volts, and also is going to tell you what your power factor is. Hit it again and it's going to go back to time remaining and input watts. Okay, now we move over here. You got a 12 volt cigarette lighter port, and these are 12 volts to 10 amps, and I'm not sure if these are 5521 or 5525s. Not positive, but I'll check that out. We have a 100 watt power delivery, a 18 watt USB-C. So you got two USB-Cs, one's 100, it is only output only, 18 watt output only as well, both USB-Cs. But again, that's a 100 watt power delivery port. Over here you got two quick charge 18 watts. So you got two USB-As that are 18 watt output, and guess what? Got a 15 watt wireless charger on top, so you can just set your phone on there and charge it wirelessly as long as the DC is on. So that's kind of a rundown. You got some fans on one side, vent on the other. It's got these nice bumper guards, and this thing is made very well. It's got a flip up handle, it's got a rubber grip in the center, and these bumpers are very thick, and this thing's a little tank. It's put together really well. Pecron's really impressive. Like I say, if you're looking for something that just works, this is better than anything that's out there right now. 1200 watt inverter, 614 watt hour battery. If you're in that mid-size range, I have the EB55, I have the EB70, and this actually, the inverter's better than both of those, and the EB70's battery's a little bit bigger, but not by much. I think it's 720 watt hours. And I'm going to show you how you can, this one is one of the easiest to expand the capacity on. Can you add extra batteries to this through Pecron? No, but it's one of the easiest to increase capacity through either one of these two ports. So this is a great way to expand, and I'm going to show you that later in the video as well, because you can literally run refrigerators off this. Now, it's not going to run every refrigerator. If you have a surge of above 2,000 watts, it's not going to run it. And as I'm going to show you in the testing, I had some mixed results on it, but 2 out of 3 ain't bad. So we'll get to doing some testing on it. And all right, we're going to check the solar charging using the 32 to 95 volt port, and we're going to see, we're hooking it up to the 400 watts of solar that I have up on the roof, and let me plug it up and we'll see what we're getting. Alright, there we go. Charge controller's a little slow reading the panel, but now we're starting to get something. See what it settles in at. Again, we got 400 watts of panels up here. 2 are connected in series, the other 2 in series, and then we have a series parallel connection for them both. So we're just trying to see what it's going to settle in at. We're at 269, 272. Slowly going up, and that might be where we're going to settle in. It's around 278 watts. Now, I don't have the best angle on my panels up there, so that's actually pretty good. We do have a pretty good sunny day, so Now what I'm going to do, because this thing says it can take 95 volts, I'm going to put 800 watts of solar on it. And hopefully we won't blow it up. Alright, we got 800 watts of solar hooked up to this. Seriously over panel, but we are under the voltage, which is 95 volts. So this supposedly can take 15 amps according to the user's manual. And there we are starting to get a reading. Let's see what we get up to. I'm hoping with that 800 we should be able to max this out, but we'll see. Climbing. Charge controller is a little slow. There we go. Okay, looks like we're getting 381 watts. And that looks like where it's going to settle in. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put an amp meter on here. I'm going to pause the video for a second and see how many amps we're getting in. Alright, got an amp meter on here and it says we're getting around 4 to 5 amps. You're right at 5 amps, so I know these are putting out 10. So the charge controller must be limiting the amperage. With 800 watts of solar, that's as close as I'm able to get to 400. But it is holding pretty steady at around 376, 380. It bounces back and forth. But we are getting about 4.8 amps. Now that is on the negative side. On the positive side, looks like it's about the same. 4.8, I've noticed sometimes you get a different reading. See there, we're at 5. And that's on the negative. So that's the most I can get into it, and I got 800 watts of solar up there. But still, I take that. That'll charge up pretty quickly at 383 watts because it is only a 614 watt hour battery, and we're, right now it says it'll take 54 minutes to charge it at that rate. So not bad. Alright, I want to show you using the cigarette lighter port on for the Pecron E600. The charge controller is kicked in and trying to see what we're going to max out at. We're thinking we might get close to 100 watts. Right now we're at 78. The one thing I have noticed with this Pecron is the charge controller really takes its time determining what it's going to charge at. And it looks like we're going to be at 78 watts from the cigarette lighter port. 79. I did want to show we are hooked into the 32 to 95 volt port, hooked directly into my battery bank, and we're getting 85 watts. So it is reading, which I know this is not 32 volts, but what we're going to try to do is put a voltage boost on it and see if that'll increase the watts we're getting from this battery bank. Okay, we've got our voltage boosted to 24 volts from our step-up transformer, and that's taken us to about 156. So it did increase it a little bit. It's still, I think it may have settled in at about 159. So we're doing 24 volts on this 32 volt to 95 volt port, and we're getting about 157 in. So it is reading below 32 and charging, but I don't think we're getting them the full amps that we need. We're going to try a couple other tests to see if we can't get that to come up a little bit higher from this battery bank. Alright, I want to show you this port right here too that takes the 12 to 18 volts. We have a 100 watt panel out there right now, and we are going to plug it in and see what we get, because you can charge this with a 100 watt panel from this top DC port. There we go. We're starting to get some watts now. It's a 100 watt panel. We're hitting around 71 watts. See if it's going to be its final number. Still eking up just a little bit. Looks like that might be where it's going to level off at. Around 72 watts off a 100 watt panel. Okay, at the risk of damaging the Pecron, I got a 200 watt panel hooked up. It's a Blue Eddy SP200. It does say it has an open circuit voltage of 24, which is a little more than what this can take. So we're going to see if we can't get more watts out of the 200 watt panel to get us maybe maxing this thing out at 100. So far it seems to be working. There you go. We're getting 105, 106, 108, still climbing a little bit. Let's see where it levels out. This is only supposed to be a 100 watt max port, but I have a 200 watt Blue Eddy on it. And that might be where we top out. So if you do have a 200 watt portable panel, this is a 24 volt open circuit panel with 10 amp max, and we're maxing out the input with this panel, getting 124, 125 watts. So there's a way that you can use this port with a 200 watt panel. Just watch your VOC to make sure it stays. I wouldn't push any more than 24. But it doesn't seem to be having any trouble with it whatsoever. So that's about, we're getting around 72 with the 100 watt panel. So we're maxing it out with the 200 watt panel and plus 23 more watts. So that's a huge difference. What is that, like 40 watts difference by using a 200 watt panel. Okay, I want to show you wall charging with the power brick. That is its fan. It's making that noise, but not too loud. So we're going to see how much we get in. Looks like around 278 watts, 277. So you can charge with the power brick pretty fast. Alright guys, I have my freezer running off of the Pecron. I've been sitting here waiting. I missed the surge, but it obviously handled it. It's pulling 135 watts, and at that rate it would run it for about 4 hours. Of course we know it's going to kick on and off, so it actually would run it a lot longer than that. But what I've also got here is another battery, which is at 1280 amp hours, the battery box that I made, and it's 98% charged. That's what it says there, and we're not dumping anything into it just yet. It should start kicking on and putting voltage in. Let's see, or excuse me, putting wattage in. So let's see if the charge controller kicks in and starts dumping some watts into it, because what I'm expecting is to get more than the 129 that I'm pulling right now. All right, now we're getting some watts rolling in. Now, see what we got. We're putting in 158. We're pulling 128. So the Pecron will run it for 999 hours based off that, but we know that's not true either. But based off of this battery, it says it would run it for 7. And that means putting in 160 watts into the Pecron. And again, so I think basically what we have here is 614 watt hours and 1,280 watt hours. We have 1900 watt hours. I do believe we'd be able to run this for 24 hours just without any solar hooked up to it. And that's the freezer, because it is, you know, pulling 128 watts. It will kick on and off. And like I say, I was sitting here for probably an hour waiting for the freezer to kick on, so it doesn't kick on. You know, once it runs, it's going to run for a little bit. When it kicks off, it's going to stay off for a little bit. And I was opening the door trying to get it to kick on. So this little Pecron with the 1200 watt inverter will run this upright freezer. That's the one we're running right here. So we're going to try it on some other refrigerators and freezers, and we'll get back to you. Okay, it would not run my main refrigerator. Ran the one freezer, but not the refrigerator in the kitchen. So it's all right. 1 out of 2 is not bad. All right, we're going to try refrigerator number 2, the third out of our 4 refrigerators and freezers. We got the AC on, and we're going to plug it up. There went the surge. And it handled it just fine. Pulling 117 watts. This is an older refrigerator. Surge wasn't as great, but it's not a energy saver, that's for sure. But this would still run it if we have it hooked up to our other LiFePO battery like we do right now. It says 300 and some hours, because we're getting 130 watts in, 120 out. And on our LiFePO battery we're at 93%. So we're basically using an expansion battery that we've made in order to bring that 128 watts in. So this would run this refrigerator for a long time. That's saying 203 hours, but we know again that's not right, because it's going to go on and off. But there, so we're up to 2 out of 3. What's the old song? 2 out of 3 ain't bad. So I think we will be okay running the other freezer. I sat for hour and a half on it, and it never kicked on once I plugged it in. So I'm not going to go through that one, but I feel pretty confident it'll run it. It's a little bit smaller than the upright that it had no trouble running. So I know that I can, if I wanted to pull one of the refrigerators off the transfer switch and run it off something like this with a battery expansion pack that we've made, we could run this refrigerator for a long time in a power outage. I also want to show you, this is just a regular toaster, and that's the beauty of this thing right here. We don't need no X boost, no jump ahead voltage, or super powers. This inverter can run a toaster. 932 watts, you can see, no issues whatsoever. So this just the 1200 watt inverter on this thing is just amazing. For this size, yeah, I know the battery's small, but for me, that's not an issue because I'm expanding it with the battery I showed you earlier. So this is just amazing. This is a great camping generator as well, because you can throw 400 watts of solar on it and, you know, recharge it pretty quickly, you know, while you're out in the field. So no gripes with this inverter whatsoever. Okay, we got an air fryer here. Don't know, I usually know the watts of everything, but I did not look at this, and we're going to see if this will run the air fryer. We're hitting start. It can't do it. Alright, no luck on the air fryer. Let's try a coffee pot. Now, I'm not going to make coffee, I'm just going to run some water through it. It should be able to run this coffee pot. 932 watts. EB70, EB55 won't do this. My EB3A will, with the step up voltage. I can't remember what Blue Eddy calls it now, but it boosts the voltage, boosts the wattage. Actually reduces the volts in order to keep it at 600 watts. But this one here with the 1200 watt inverter, no problems whatsoever. That's what I'm saying. This is a great camping generator, power station, whatever you want to call it, because you can make coffee, you can make toast, and you can run a induction stove on it as well. The one I've showed you in some of my other videos, it will run on this too. You just have to slowly turn your degrees up on those, and it'll run that as well. So with a 1200 watt inverter capable of 400 watts of solar, you just can't beat this thing. And like I said, I got it at $299, but it's still $329 on their website right now. It's still a steal at that price because it's a 1200 watt inverter and a 614 watt hour battery, and it is LiFePO. I'm just amazed by it. I do want to show you we are getting 120 volts from this AC inverter. We're running a fan right now, pulling 71 watts. Now I run this fan on some other power stations and I only get in the 60s because they're only putting out 110 volts. But this is a true 120 watt inverter, and it is pure sine wave. See there, we're getting a nice sine wave, pure and true, so you're getting nice clean electricity. Alright guys, I want to show you how easy it is to expand the capacity of this Pecron E600. I have a DIY battery that I built. I'll put the link so you can see the video for this up there somewhere. But I have terminal lugs, so we're straight to the battery here, and you can literally just plug in Andersons to MC4s. Look at that. Anderson to MC4s, and you just hook up the included. Now this says that it needs 32 to 95 volts, but I found that it will charge with less. Now the one thing about the Pecron is the charge controller is very slow. It's going to take its time in figuring out how much power it's going to use, but it will take off here in a second. It is starting to take it in. So, if you're running a refrigerator or freezer, which like I say, you'll see in the video, we ran 2 out of 3 of ours, and here we're running a fan that's pulling 70 watts, but we're getting 80 in from this battery. So this is going to run indefinitely because it thinks it's getting a charge, but it's actually coming from the battery, and we can literally put the solar on here. Where I can get 400 on here, I could put a little bit more than that on this one. I could put 600, 700, 800 watts on this battery if I wanted to. So if you want to just use this as a battery expansion, you can. So you've got 614 plus 1280. So you're up over 1900 watt hours now. Well, yeah, 1900 watt hours roughly, just by this. Now, what if you want to get a few more watts in from this battery? It's very simple. We're just going to unplug our MC4, and we got a little booster, DC booster, step-up transformer, whatever you want to call it, and we're going to take and increase the amount of watts that we're getting, because we're going to take that 12 volts and bump it up to 24. Amperage is going to stay the same, but it will increase how many watts that we're able to get into the Pecron. So we'll wait again. That's the only problem I see with this thing, is that the MPPT charge controller takes its time. It's in no hurry. Alright, we're starting to get some watts in. Let's see what it takes us up to. And we are 98% charged. We've already hit 70, which is what we were hitting 80 before. Now we're up to 157, 156. Now what you could even do is you can buy a bigger one of these that will step you up from 12 to say 36 or 48 volts, because this can handle it, this port, and we could probably get over 200, close to 300 watts in at a time from this battery. I'm pretty happy right now with 157 watts going in. I'm using 70, so this is going to top off, and it's just going to transfer power over. So easy way to extend capacity on the Pecron E600. Alright guys, tell me what you think about the Pecron E600LFP. 1200 watt inverter, 614 watt hour LiFePO battery, has all the ports you need, has a nice screen, gives you all the information that you need. Say the only thing that would be a negative on the screen to me is you can't see your DC output volts while you're charging. Now if you're not charging, yeah, your DC volts will show up there. It also gives you some other information like power factor and voltage of the battery that some of your other power stations don't. This is just a power station that works. It gets the job done. You can go camping with this thing. This is an excellent camping generator. Is it a big emergency power generator as it stands? No, but can it get you through a few hours of a power outage? Yeah, you know, it can. And for me, it's going to be great for emergency power outages, because I can add a battery expansion with a LiFePO battery to it, and take that 614 up to around 1900 watt hours. So yeah, I can use this if I didn't want to have everything running through the battery bank that I have, the AC200P that I have. I could run, I know I can run two of the 3 refrigerators and freezers that I have, and the 4th one I didn't get to check it on, but I think it will run that one because it ran the upright and it's a lot bigger. this kitchen refrigerator that this one had trouble running, it has the most startup watts of any refrigerator I've seen. I mean, I've caught it on video where it's, you know, hit 2,300 watts of surge power when it's kicking that compressor on. Yeah, I don't know how my AB70, it runs it. I don't know, I can't explain it, but it'll run it. This one can't do it, the EcoFlow can't do it, but the EB70 does. But getting off track, this one can do a lot of things for you. It can power TVs, fans, charge your devices. It can run some refrigerators. You just have to check it and see. Now, if you have a newer refrigerator, you probably ain't gonna have a problem. You can run this thing because a refrigerator is not going to run 24/7. It's going to be kicking on and off. So you can probably, on a newer model, probably get 10-12 hours out of it, maybe. I don't know, I'm just speculating, but tell me what you think. Go to Pecron's site. I'm going to leave a link for this power station in the site, or in the comments, because it's still only $329. The Prime Day sale, yeah, it was $299, but it's $30 more at $329, but figure that, it's still just a shade over 50 cents a watt hour for 614 watt hours, and that 1200 watt inverter is huge. You can do so many things with that you can't do with some of the other power stations in this category. So I'm going to put in a link into the comments, click on it, and it'll take you to their website and look it up. They also have this version that is the the lithium ion, and it's a 1200 watt inverter with a 1000 watt hour battery, and it's $399. Now the only difference really between that is the bigger battery, but it is not lithium iron phosphate, it's lithium ion, and it's rated at 1000 cycles to 80%, where this one's rated at 3,500 cycles to 80%. But still at $399 for 1000 watts, that's 39 cents a watt hour, even for lithium ion. And it wasn't on sale when I bought this one, and I don't know, I may have went with the other one, but either way, I'm tickled to death with this one, and like what it has to offer. Pecron's really stepping up their game, and I'm looking forward to some more products. I know they've got one that's on pre-order now too, that's a 2200 watt inverter, 1500 watt lithium iron phosphate, that has all the bells and whistles, the Bluetooth and UPS features that some of the newer Blue Eddies and EcoFlows are doing. So Pecron's trying to compete, and they're doing it at a lot cheaper price. So I'm a fan, and I love this power station. So you tell me what you think in the comments. Also, we do have some gear now. If you'd like to order some, just reach out via email that's in my about page, and we'll get them out to you. They're $20 for a Pecron on the Creek shirt, and I don't know, yeah, this one has it on the back too. So let me know if you want some t-shirts, and we'll get them out to you. Just email me, and they'll be, like I say, I think they're $20. My daughter-in-law is the one who makes them for me, and she does a great job, and I've been wearing these to work, so I have work shirts every day now. So I want to thank you. Like, subscribe, share, leave comments down below. I'm so close to 1,000 subscribers. Help me get there. Thank you for your viewership. Have a blessed day, and we'll see you in the next video.